Hello everybody, welcome back to the woodland. We hope you are well, we hope you are staying safe, we hope you're staying warm. As we're now into winter, I've now got my many layers on, feeling a bit of a chill, and today it's actually 2 degrees, and we know over the winter it's going to get a lot colder. So talking about winter, on our sessions, a common theme when we're talking about how we are feeling in our seasons and the changing the seasons and how they make us feel, people talk about how winter makes them feel like things around them are dead. It's a word that comes up quite a lot. Everything's dead. Now, hopefully today, I'm going to be able to prove to you that no, not everything is dead. Now, we understand why you feel that, but looking around, there is still a lot of life going on, and some things are just waiting for the spring to burst into life again. Now, you may be able to hear that around me, we've still got our birds tweeting and chirping away. Now, I can hear lots of long-tailed tits. I can hear some coal tits. And lots of other birds that I still haven't learned their song, because every bird has an individual song when they're talking to each other. And really clever people can learn them and recognize them by sound. For me, I still have to see the bird to know what it is. It sounds lovely around here. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of an activity that is going to use some clay. Now, I've got clay, but you could use at home anything like plasticine or Play-Doh. You could even have a go at using blue tack or another kind of tack. And I've even done this with salt dough. Now, if you need to know how to make salt dough, just use your search engine on the internet and look out for the recipe and have a go at making that too. And that's good fun in itself. But what we're going to do is we're going to walk around and use this to prove that there's lots of life still around us. So come on, let's go. Now, I haven't had to go very far to already see that things are still alive. If I look around me here, I've got a holly tree over here. I've got a yew tree above me here. It's got a posh name, it's Taxus baccata. And behind me over here, this bush behind me is a laurel. So these are still well in leaf, and in fact, they won't lose their leaves because they are called evergreens, which means they're green forever. They won't drop their leaves during the winter. Unlike their cousins, their deciduous cousins, which means that they drop their leaves. But this isn't what I'm looking for, so I'm going to keep going. Now here it is. This is what I was looking for. So I've managed to find an elder, that's the name of this tree, that has buds. Now, buds are these little things here that are curled up leaves. Now, they're ready to burst into life when the warmer weather comes in the spring. But the elder is actually one of those that leaves quite early. So you'll notice that some of the buds have already burst into leaf. But what I'm here for, as I said, is these buds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my clay and I'm going to gently press the bud against the clay. And I'm going to work it round, all the way around the outside for me. Just like this. Now, I'm not hurting the tree. I'm not taking the bud off. So it's still going to burst into life in the spring. So here's the bud I used, and here is the pattern that I created all the way around the outside of my clay. And if you look really closely, you can see where the tips of the leaves that are here have separated and made kind of almost like a paintbrush effect all the way around. Now let's go find some more. Now here I have found a beech tree that has still got some of last year's leaves on it. And on the same branch of last year's growth, we've got our new buds that are growing just here. Now they look completely different to our elder buds that we had, and these ones are more kind of pointy, if you can see it like there. Yeah, so obviously different trees having different shaped leaves, well, it goes to say they're going to have different shaped buds, aren't they? So this one is the beech. Now here I found a very different shape bud. This one, it's kind of like an egg shaped, and it's got different scales in there. Quite hard to see on the camera, but yeah. So this is a sycamore, and it has kind of, see if I can find a sycamore leaf on the ground. If I look around, oh, here we go. Here's one I received from last year. That looks like that. Obviously a lot more green and a lot more healthier than this one. So I'm going to use this different shaped bud now to get a different texture on my clay. Some of the signs of life that come in our woodland don't necessarily come from the birds or from the plants, but sometimes from the animals and the mammals that live with us. Can you see there's a dark line behind me that goes kind of this way? And it carries on behind the camera. This was made by deer coming through. Now in our area we have a few deers that come through. We have fallow deer and we also have muntjac deer, which are quite small and look a little bit like dogs from a distance. But there's a sign of life of something that's certainly not dead this time of year. Now another sign of life that is with us all year is this beautiful green. It changes on different times of the year. Sometimes it's a darker green, sometimes it's a lighter green, but it really shows up against the brown that we've got in our woodland at the moment. This is sphagnum moss, and it is an awesome plant. If I take a little bit here, and it won't damage the whole plant if I take a little bit, and I bring it over, you'll notice that it's really fine, intricate leaves. Now it takes its water in through its entire body. The roots are only there to hold it onto the plant or the surface that it is. In this case, it's a tree. Now 70% of the weight of this is water. So if I give it a squeeze, there you go. So in a survival situation, if you couldn't find any water, you could drink this. And the good news is it's mildly antiseptic, which means it killed germs and stay nice and clean. In fact, it was used up until the First World War as bandages. So if someone was wounded and you didn't have a bandage, you could place this on the wound. It would soak up the blood and help it clot and help keep it clean because of the antiseptic. It's pretty cool, isn't it? Now this tree is a hazel, and it has two things this time of year. It has buds, but it also has these wonderful little things called catkins. Now catkins are what produces the seed or the pollen that will produce a seed later on in the year for creating new trees. So they're very fine, and there's lots of very fine intricate detail on this. So I wonder what that's going to look like on my clay. Here we have one of our plants which gets a bit of a bad name, and it really shouldn't. It's our stinger nettle. In fact, this is this year's stinger nettle coming through. It gets a bit of a bad name for obvious reasons. It stings, but only if you touch it, so don't touch it. I'm not going to go into great detail about what you can do with the stinger nettle because we'll do that in another video. But they are an awesome plant. I'll give you a little taster. They grow butterflies. You can eat them. You can bake with them. You can drink them,
and you can make cordage out of them. And another cool thing, I'll tell you now, it was the Romans that introduced them to our country. So we didn't have them until the Romans came over, and they loved them. They used them for all those things that I've just listed, and a few more. So actually, a really useful plant.
Now here's something that I needed to show you, because again, it's alive, and in fact, it's one of the most important organisms on the planet. It is fungi. In fact, this one is called jelly ear fungi. And if I'm really careful and gentle with the stick, you'll notice, bloop, 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 bloop. It's very jelly-like, and it's ear-shaped. Jelly ear fungus. And this is living on this dead bit of wood. But again, it is alive. And here is my finished clay. That's actually turned out quite well, I think. So a reminder that around the edge here, we had our elder. Then here, this crisscross pattern I made with our beech. These round ones here, the egg-shaped ones were from the sycamore, and these finely detailed, if you look really close in there, you can see all the way around there. That was from our hazel catkins. So we do hope now that from having our little walk around here and enjoying our woodland, that you've recognised that yes, there is still lots of life still around, and those things that aren't springing and jumping around are actually waiting for that nice warm weather to burst into life again, whether it would be a bud, a catkin, or animals, or maybe even a fungi hiding around somewhere. Just remember, it's still there and it's just waiting. Kind of like us. We're waiting for the opportunity to get out again and enjoy the warm weather. So if you've been inspired to have a go yourself, please do send us those pictures. We love seeing them, and I look forward to hearing from you and welcoming you back to the woods very, very soon.